Hello, welcome to the Fusion Artist Studio. My name is Ed Breen. On behalf of the Fusion Arts Alliance, each week we bring you a conversation with an artist here in Marion or Grant County. Talk about what it is that this artist is doing, whether it's performing arts or visual arts, why they're doing it, what they bring to the community, and maybe more importantly, what the community can bring to the arts world here in Marion and Grant County. Our guest today is Kevin Whitmore. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you, Ed.
Glad to have you here. There's lots of dimensions, lots of facets to what you do. You're involved with civic theater. You're involved with Hoosier Shakes. You are a musician, a singer, and you are a clergyman.
Right.
Your day job is in Muncie.
It's east of Muncie. It's a moorland address, and the church is called the Buck Creek Church. Little country church out on County Road.
Okay. Let's talk first of all about your musical career.
Career, okay.
Is career a pretty broad brush term?
Yeah, I'm not doing it for a living, thankfully, but yeah, there have been some good moments there.
But you are a singer.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Yeah.
You have done musicals. What else do you do?
Right now I'm singing with a group called Masterworks Chorale. It meets in Muncie, and it's kind of a fancy schmancy group. The guys wear tuxedos, women wear formals. Do a lot of European composer type music, but we also have a lot of fun, different concerts like Christmas or Valentine's.
Okay.
And I have sung with barbershop choruses and quartets in the area also.
You're not exactly a shy person. Have you done on stage with Civic through the years?
I started in 1989. My first show was Godspell. I went into the audition. I remember it was New Year's Day, 1989. I just decided to get involved in theater again. I walked in not knowing anybody, but made some friends that have lasted 31 years.
Okay. And you've been on stage. You've been director.
I've been a director. I retired from directing about 20 years ago. But once in a while there'll be a show that'll get my interest, and you know, Ed, as we get older, the parts are not there too often.
Yeah.
I'm playing the older statesman type now.
They can only do grumpy old men a couple of times.
Yeah. I'm settling more into that kind of thing now. When I auditioned for Hoosier Shakes, I still hold the record for being the oldest performer with them. I told them that the only reason I was in the cast was because I could convincingly play an old man without makeup or padding.
Thereby saving on budget.
There you go. Didn't have to buy makeup for me.
What did you play in the Hoosier Shakes?
Well, it was the first year we did it, and I guess they saw something in me that worked out. We did Pericles. Pericles, Prince of Tyre, one of Shakespeare's lesser known and later works. I played two characters in that, Antiochus the Great and King Simonides, and they're like polar opposites. And then I played a couple other smaller parts in there. I played a sailor and some other character. And then we did Twelfth Night, and I played the captain, I played a priest, and I played a police officer. And we did it in modern dress.
Okay. Talk about, Shakespeare is intimidating for every English major in the world, okay? Talk about your introduction to Shakespeare through Hoosier. I assume you were not intimately familiar with Shakespeare until you got to Hoosier Shakes.
Not as intensely as it was there. That was pretty intense because in 6 weeks we had to memorize and rehearse and perform 2 Shakespearean plays in different settings and adjust to the weather and the size of the crowd and the heat and everything else that was going on. But I did have an interest in Shakespeare. Started with in high school. We were reading Romeo and Juliet, and I was one of the few guys in the class who could read, so they had me read part of Romeo. The following year, we read Julius Caesar, and part of the requirement was to memorize a monologue from Julius Caesar, and I did. And the interesting thing is, when I went into audition for Hoosier Shakes, I had to do a monologue from there, and something clicked from something I memorized in the 10th grade.
You could recall it?
I can recall it. I can recall it. So shout out to Mrs. Wolf for making me memorize that. And it's just something that stayed with me.
Where were the high school years?
I grew up in a town called Ashland, Ohio, a good musical town. The high school I went to has performed a Broadway-type musical every year since 1956. And I went to see my older brothers perform in there, and then when I got the chance, I was in one musical. I had one or two speaking parts in straight plays, and then did some stage crew work, that sort of thing.
And what brought you to Indiana?
Job. There was a church in Indiana that was open in Wabash, and my wife and I moved there, and she's a nurse, so she's made her career here. She's had more of a career than I have, thankfully. And then we moved to Grand County in '86 and bought a house here. So any ministry I'm doing, I'm just working out of the house for now.
Let's talk about your civic theater involvement and your Hoosier Shakes. You're on the board of Hoosier Shakes?
I'm not on the board, but I am considered an original member.
You hang around with influential and powerful people in Hoosier Shakes.
Yeah, there's one standing right over there too. They ask for my input once in a while, and I volunteer where I can and where they need me. But it's a great group of people, and everybody's in those. They got to work hard and they got to do everything. So a lot of times I'll volunteer and everything's covered. But fantastic group of people.
Talk about the community and both of those theatrical involvements. Hoosier Shakes draws an audience. It's a wonderful way of introducing theater to people.
Yeah.
Civic theater is a little bit different. You go to the theater, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. With Marion Civic, of course, they've got the building, and people know that's where they need to come to. Hoosier Shakes, you're taking it to the people. And I was back in my old hometown and ran into someone who's a theater buff, and I told him, I said, I'm in this thing called Hoosier Shakes. He said, well, tell me about it. And I said, honestly, it's kind of like Shakespeare on a street corner. And that's the way it was the first time we did it. We're on the corner right by the courthouse, and with all the trucks and motorcycles and sirens and everything else, and making it work.
And it was fun.
It was, and the things it was letting people know that Shakespeare is not didn't write in a dead language 400 years ago. It's topical to today, and we've had kids show up who look for that experience to see what Shakespeare is like on stage. And we also, it kind of goes back to the way it was done back then. It's just like, here's a spot, let's put on a show.
You said you did a Shakespeare production in modern dress.
Twelfth Night we did, yes.
Okay, that's right.
Right.
Does that change the dynamics when you come from?
It was a lot more comfortable. We did Pericles in I guess you could say period dress, and we were layered because we had to go backstage, take off one thing, come out 5 seconds later as another character. And when you're doing that in 100-degree temperatures, it can make a difference. But the modern dress, I think, gave us a little more freedom to do it. Like I said, I played a character who's known as an officer. Well, they dress me in a policeman's shirt. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is, like I said, we were performing outside, and I was coming out there ready to do a line, and someone had set off a firecracker somewhere backstage behind us, and it sounded like a gunshot. I'm dressed as a policeman. And I want to turn to the audience and say, I'm not a policeman, I just play one on stage. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And then I went back, came about half a minute later dressed as a priest. There's another firecracker. I thought, okay, am I supposed to arrest people or give them last rites? I'm not sure what.
You're prepared for all occasions.
You go with it.
But doing Shakespeare in modern dress, does it change your view in some way of the story that you're telling?
I don't know if it changes the story, but there again, for people who aren't familiar with it, they're realizing it's not just done in with guys wearing tights and tunics and everything else. It's, it could be a modern story, just people speaking a different kind of English. And the story's still there, and the story's more important. So I think maybe in Pericles, the costumes, the period costumes were a part of it. Twelfth Night, something along that line, it could be a modern story, and hey, they're out there wearing clothes we would wear today.
Let's shift gears and talk about Civic for a few minutes. It is no secret, Civic Theater has gone through several iterations over the years. It struggles financially from time to time. I think we're in one of those periods right now. COVID has just decimated the entertainment world.
Yeah.
What does Civic need to do, and what do we as a community need to do for Civic?
Well, I'm not on the board, I'm not on the inner circle, but I would say donate. And you can get on the Facebook page and they tell you how to do it. Different artists are appealing for people to donate, and then they will donate to Civic Theater. So be sure to do that. There is protocol to follow when you go to a show. Be sure to do that. If they say the audience has to wear a mask, but go to the show and support it. They're doing great things with the younger artists, the kids, getting them involved in theater. So get out there and support them. But follow the protocol, make the donations if you can, and remember, we're putting on some great stuff, and we're encouraging the future generations to keep performing.
Are you in a show coming up?
Yes, I am. We're doing the musical Miracle on 34th Street. It was originally called Here's Love, written by Meredith Wilson, the same fellow that wrote The Music Man.
Mason City, Iowa.
Yeah, so it got my
in.
vote, but it's very New York. It's very New York of the 60s, so there's a big adjustment there. I'm playing the character R.H. Macy, the owner of Macy's department store. The interesting thing was Macy died in...
Things haven't gone well at the store lately either.
Yeah. Well, Macy died in 1877, but they bring him back for this musical in the 60s.
Right.
And also they've had to... there are things in the news. They've had to redo the parade, and Macy's cannot have people going in to see Santa Claus. So it's a throwback to a feel-good era. That's like pre-rock and roll, pre-Vietnam, but everybody's feeling good. New York was like a big neighborhood, and so it's that kind of feel to it.
Most of your civic involvement through the year been in musicals?
Mostly, but I've branched out and done some that did not require singing, dancing, or telling a joke. Last year I was in a great show called These Shining Lives. I played several characters in that. Hard-hitting drama about the work conditions in the 1920s and the women who were putting their lives on the line just to earn a living. And a great drama. I ended up winning the award for Best Production of the Year. And I really think if I could be remembered for just one show, I would want to be that. But there's still that draw. That's why I'm doing another show. There's still that draw to get out there and perform.
Well, let's talk about the one that you'd like to be remembered for, but also the one that was, what's the most fun? Going back, you've been doing this for 30 years.
Well, yeah, 30 years in Civic Theater, and then in high school and college before that. But and then other venues as well.
What's the show that with which you had the most fun?
Oh gosh, they've all been fun. I think it goes back to Civic Theater's 1991 production of Cinderella, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. I played the king, and just had a ball with it. I've been in better shows, but that was one of the most fun. There were a lot of kids in it, a lot of energy, and you just feel the excitement backstage. So I think that's probably the most fun I've had in the show.
Kevin, talk for a minute about the Fusion Arts Alliance, what it can do, what the community can do for it, what it is doing for the artists in the community.
Well, there again, I don't know that I'm qualified to speak on exactly what can be done, but there again, donate, but also find out what your interest is in the arts. And it's my main thing is performing arts. I'm getting into what I call worthless wood projects. I'm painting on pallets and barn wood and that sort of thing. Not very good at it, not ready for everybody to see it. But there are people that are immensely more talented than I could ever be who are doing this, and that's their bread and butter, or they're doing it as an avocation. So look at what they're doing, find out what your interest is in the arts. If you're not interested in performing, you're not interested in hearing people sing, there are other people who are doing that, and you're going to find something you like.
You've been in other communities. Talk about Marion's receptivity to the arts.
I think it comes and goes sometimes. There again, it depends on what the audience is looking for. We took a big chance with Hoosier Shakes. Didn't know how it would work out with Grant County. There again, I don't know that I can say that I can put into a category. There's some people who are really looking forward to it. Others are kind of like, what's going on here? So but the interest has expanded on it, and people are seeing the good productions have been going on. Civic theater, some people like all musicals, some people don't like musicals. But there again, people, they want to be entertained and they want to laugh. But also if we can make them think, that's an important thing too. And people might go to a show and realize this wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm seeing things in a different way. And I'm appreciating what the playwright was trying to say. So, some people are just going to be entertained, or they're going because they know someone in the show. But they have to realize that the playwright and the people putting on the show have something that they want to say to people.
Talk about what you would like to do in the years ahead.
Well, I'm on the downward slide. I don't get the leading man roles anymore. I've done a few of those. Like I said, more the elder statesman. But I think there again is being challenged. And something like Hoosier Shakes was a challenge. I hope I rose to the challenge. And then doing a straight drama last year where I wasn't getting any laughs and nobody was expecting me to. There again, there's still the challenge, and it's not so much what I'm trying to fit in as an older performer. It's seeing how other younger people are coming along and learning the ropes along. Maybe I can pass some of that on to them.
As a performer, your relationship with that audience is still important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You were talking about when you do something for laughs, you get a response from out there.
Right.
When you're doing serious theater, you're not hearing a word from them. Does that affect you in a different way?
Not really. I think experience comes with it that you realize at some point they're getting it. There's that moment for an audience member in live theater that you don't get when you're watching a movie or watching TV or playing a video game, where you're sitting with a group of people, maybe you've never met them before, but there's that one moment where they all get it. It's like, yeah, that's what they're trying to say.
Okay.
At the end of the show, there's traditional curtain call applause. The audience is telling you, yeah, you did a good job. But I also like to think they're saying, you guys did it. You made me think. You made me laugh. You made me escape something that's been bothering me. But that brings people together. It brings strangers together.
Kevin Whitmore, we thank you.
Oh.
On behalf of the Fusion Arts Alliance, we thank you for tuning in. We will have another session next week with yet another artist or person involved in the arts in the Marion and Grant County community. Thank you.
Thank you.